Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, you're welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for always stopping by to watch my video. As you can tell by the title, in this video I'll be teaching you how to cut and also sew this beautiful off-shoulder wrap top. So if this is something you want to learn about, if this is something you want to know how to cut, so get your fabric ready, get your scissors ready, and let's cut and also sew. Welcome back guys. So the first thing I'll be doing is to measure ½ inch at the lower part of my fabric. So this ½ inch will serve as a seam allowance and also serve as the starting point for my wrap top, just ½ inch over there. Then the next thing is to measure the length of my blouse. So for this blouse I measured 20 inches, but I deducted 6 inches. You know it's off shoulder, so I just removed 6 inches, and you can determine this inches by measuring just your upper parts, your upper bust. So the length of your upper bust, you deduct it from your off shoulder. So mine is 6 inches, then I deducted it, then I added ½ inch again for the upper part seam allowance. So the next thing I'm doing here is just to kind of locate my armhole. So I'm assuming that this is a full blouse, so I'll just be locating my bust length, my waist, my bust length, my waist, and the end of the blouse. And I'll also be knotting my armhole line. So with that, I'll just draw a line across the armhole line alone. So the next thing is to measure my bust. Your bust measurement divided by 4, then you add your seam allowance, which is 1.5. I'm using 1.5. You can use whatever you want to use. So the next thing is to measure my waist at that part. So the waist measurement divided by 4, and you add 1.5 inch seam allowance and 1 inch dart allowance. So you measure your hip. This hip measurement is not your full hip, it's just your upper hip measurement. If you don't know your upper hip measurement, you can just deduct like 2 inches from your normal hip measurement. So this is the hip, and you add your dart allowance and also your seam allowance to the hip parts too. Then you connect the line. Yeah, you connect the lines like this. So after that, let's do our armhole. But for us to do our armhole, we have to know the wideness of our off shoulder. So the wideness of this off shoulder is just the measurement across the front. So I'm using 5 inches. Yes, I'm using 5 inches. So 5 inches times 2, that's 10. So that's what I measured there. Then I'm connecting the lines just like that. After that, I will cut this out. So after cutting this out, then I'll go ahead and just cut 3 of this. So this is the 3. I'll be using 2 for the front and I'll be using 1 for the back. So now I will take the front bodies like this, right side facing each other, the 2 of them on top each other. Then I will draw this curve. So I'm trying to explain this curve. So you divide this part into 2, which is 5.5. Then you take in 1 inches from one of the 5.5. So from that 1 inches, you place your French curve like this, or you can use your free hand to just draw a curve just like this, a curve like this. I'm sorry, this part is not showing very well. You just cut it like this, then you trim out the excess parts of the measurements. So I'll just take out 2.5 inches from that side and I will rule it out like that. Then I'll be cutting that part out. I'll be cutting it out. Yes, I just want to reduce that side. So later I will still go ahead and fold like this for me to fix my belt, but that one will be later, so not now. So I'm opening up this my bodice, and as you can see, it is overlapping. If you are not satisfied with the curve at this upper part here, I'm sorry it is not showing clearly, you can just go ahead and still cut it, but just be careful so that you don't make it too exposed. So now I'll be drawing my sleeve pattern. So I'm just measuring 1 inch over there. So then I'll measure 23 inches and I will roll it out. Please note that this fabric is folded into 4. That is, I'm cutting 2 sleeves together. So and I'll add another 1 inch at the upper part over there, and I'll just roll it out. I'll roll it out, then I'll just cut out this. I'll cut out what I need out of my fabric. So now I'll just make a curve, yeah, just like that, just to draw an armhole at that point. So that's just what I'm drawing. And note that this part, like, as you can see that the remaining part is kind of much. That is because I'll be adding elastic there, so it will make it smaller. So I'll be adding elastic there. So now I'm trying to open up one side of the sleeve. So it's 2, and the way I folded it, so to separate the 2 sleeves, I'm just cutting that part out. So I'll be folding that part later on, and I'll also be folding the lower part later on. Then to know where we will add our elastic, there's one elastic, yeah, just measure like 5 inches, just something around 5 inches or 4 inches. So you just measure it, then you roll it out. So I'm using 4 inches. That is from after the 4 inches after my seam allowance. So I'm just measuring 4 inches, then I will roll it out. I'm not cutting it, I'm just trying to make a point on the fabric so that I can fix my bias there. That bias will serve as my elastic casing. So I'm just trying to roll it out. So I'm measuring 5 inches here because with the seam allowance. So here too is 5 inches with the seam allowance. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So that line now, it will serve as my elastic casing. So now this is my belt. Yes, the belt depends on you. So this belt, this side here is almost 3 inches. Let's say 2 3/4 inches. Yes, and this part over here, as you can see, it is like 4 inches. So you see, like, the end is kind of big and the edge is smaller. So for this, I'll just go ahead and sew with 1/4 inches, or yeah, I'll just go ahead and sew. So now let's start with the main bodice. I've cut out my lining for the main bodice, as you can see. If you are using a, let's say, 100% cotton Ankara, you may not, if you like, you may not use lining, but this Ankara is not a 100% cotton Ankara, so I'm using lining. And some people still even use lining even with 100% cotton Ankara. So anyone that works for you, you can use it. So now I will sew at that point I'm pointing at that point here. So I'll just go ahead and sew, and every armhole I will leave it open. As you can see, the armhole is not sewed, it's just still like that. So now I'm folding this into 2 equal halves so that I can locate my that point. So now this is my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, then I added 1/2 inch to it. Nipple to nipple divided by 2 with 1/2 inch. So that is it. I'm trying to know the length of that, but I'll be using like 6 inches length for the back, and I'll be using like 5.5 for the front. So I'm just trying to locate that. So this is my front bodice. After sewing, I've not ironed it, that's why it is looking like this. So I'm just trying to straighten out the points that I've sewn. Then I'm placing it on top each other just to transfer the dart I made at the back bodice to the front bodice. So after that, I've went ahead to do the dart and I've ironed it out. As you can see, I've placed it over each other. As you can see, it's looking nice. So this is the back bodice. Then I'll be joining the back bodice with the front bodice now. The back with the front bodice, I'll just be joining it. So after joining, this is what it looks like. So now it's time for us to add our belt. So after sewing the belt and ironing it out, so I'll be tucking it in like 1 inch. I'll tuck it in by 1 inch because I want this part to enter inside the belt. So I'll be tucking it in with 1 inch, tucking the belt in with 1 inch. Then I'll fix this part inside. Then this is my sleeve. I'll fold that part like that, half inch, and I'll fold this part also with half inch. Then I will add elastic, my elastic casing, which is my bias. So I'll place that one on that line, then I'll sew. So that's the excess of the line that is there, just to guide me. So I will sew and I'll do that and I'll be back. So this is it after doing it, after fixing my elastic casing, after sewing the lower part and the upper part. So now it's time to add our elastic. So after measuring your elastic, that is, you measure your wrist measurement, then you measure your elastic. You have to reduce your elastic. Yes, you reduce the elastic with like 1 inch or 2 inches based on how tight you want it to be. Then you pass it around this casing, then you secure it with a pin, or just with a pin. Just the normal way of fixing elastic to fabric. So then you do the same thing too for the second sleeve. And before we go ahead to sew, we also fix elastic to the upper part of the sleeve, this upper part here. So you cut your elastic too, then you pass it through the hole the same way you did for the other one. So then you secure it, then you pass it around, you also secure it. So after that, the next thing to do is just to sew, just to join the sleeve. To join the sleeve at that part, just join it with 1 inches, your seam allowance. So as you can see, this is our sleeve, that's the armhole part. So now I've went ahead to fix my belt to the bodice, and I've went ahead to fix one of the sleeve. So I'll just explain to you how you will fix the other sleeve later on. So this is the belt, and you see I'll fix it in. So I make sure I sew like twice so that to secure the joining. So now this is the sleeve, and this is the other sleeve too. This is the other sleeve. So the opening at that part, I'll just be joining it to the armhole there, and this is what we have after joining. As you can see, it is looking really nice. Yes, it's looking really nice. So if you watch this video up to this extent, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, share. Yes, just do all those good stuffs, and turn on your post notification bell so that you get notified when next I post a new video. And if you'll be recreating this, just let me know in the comment section, and you can just tag me on Instagram so that I can see your recreation. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye.